F288 that you saw a few weeks ago, the previous event, and F40 and F50. Then at that time, Luca de Montezemolo was the chairman of Ferrari. The only two things he said to us, one is no wing in the back, because we've done enough of that big wing fixed for F40 and 50. So that was one big challenge actually, because we do need a big wing back to push the car down the road when you go over that speed. Another thing is the mounted engine with the rubber mount, because anybody who has been in F50 for more than 20 minutes, it's just the high, the revving, the noise and the vibration really gets to you. So we have to mount the engine with the subframe with extending the carbon chassis to the back, and the rubber mounting there, but the suspension have to mount it to the transmission, transaxle. So that was actually quite a challenge, but other than that, it was all freehand. Just guys do whatever you think is good for our specialty. But the problem is when Luca de Montezemolo comes to the studio, normally in a helicopter, and if he's in a good mood, he turns off the engine. But if he's in a bad mood, he just keeps the engine running of the helicopter. That means he wants to leave in 5 minutes. Then when we presented actually the prototype, just like as a Camilo did the clay model, Italians don't do I'm turning. Yeah, please do. If mine was not just might as well just so that. Anyway, where was I? They do kind of a hard model using like a resin to actually stop the whole car. So in a way, in design language, we call clay. When you work in clay, you tend to make it look like clay because it's so easy to make it soft looking. Then when you paint it, of course, it gets totally different. But in Enzo's case, we had a Italian modelers who's into a hard model using all the resin and the bondo and the materials like this. You can kind of see this shape was made with the chisel and the saw and the sandpaper, unlike clay model that we normally use. But actually, that was a huge advantage for us because this way you don't get into the small character lines and things like that. You just look at the overall proportion. Proportion for automotive design, you should know, actually is the hardest thing you can get. If you want to have a good proportion, you have to start changing the greenhouse and all the components, engine location, and everything is up to the designer to make a good proportion out of it. Just like when you buy a house, and like I said, location, right? Three important things: location, location, location. Three important things about the car design is proportion, proportion, proportion. So there you go. But anyway, when Montezemolo came in a helicopter and left the engine on, for the final date, we have to get approval. Otherwise, he was going to give this job to Giugiaro. He publicly said, guys, if you don't give us a good proposal, we're going to give the job to Giugiaro. Because Giugiaro, as you know, Pininfarina has been the exclusive designer for past 65 years by then. But Giugiaro never designed official the production Ferrari. So anyway, Montezemolo came in and probably in bad mood because the engine's still running. And he comes into the studio, and he looked at the prototype, not this design, but previous design that wasn't approved. But he started going like this. That's a bad sign. Whenever Luca di Montezemolo does that, he never approves anything. And before you know it, you should just step out of the studio. So my then boss, Lorenzo Ramaciotti, who was a director at that time, because I was just a designer doing all the sketches, everything for this one. But Ramaciotti offered Montezemolo, well, I can't say Montezemolo, Mr. Montezemolo, sandwich. That was like 11:45. So, Ingegnere, would you like a sandwich, panini or something? Okay, yeah, might as well just have that before I go. So we locked the door, and actually, Ramaciotti, in fact, gave me a wink, saying that you have 15 minutes. Go to the studio, bring another sketch that you're doing. I know you're doing something else besides this one. So I ran to the studio, which was the other side of the Pininfarina building, and he grabbed something that was inspired by That was a Formula One 641 that, yeah, if you remember 1990 Formula One, that was a beautiful Formula One, and I took that as a kind of inspiration for this design, but nobody really thought that people buy into it. So I just grabbed the sketch and came back in 15 minutes, and Montezemolo was tired of eating panini, right, for 15 minutes. So I unlocked the door, and he almost wanted to get out of the building. And I showed him this design in a hallway. And he looked at it. Oh, that's not bad. Great, you can do that, but finish it by next Wednesday. That was a Friday, like 12:30, and it was a running car, completed, and yeah, it was never shown to the public, but it was more like a Le Mans 24-hour racing. Made sense. Kind of like A50. A50 design, maybe you may not like the styling part of the A50, but A50 is a beautiful piece of engineering. But then we have to finish the whole new car by Wednesday noon. Of course, no sleep, sleepless nights for about 3-4 days. But when Italians work, they really work. One of my best friends, still is, told me when I arrived in Italy, watch out for Italian guys, because 95% of the guys are bad guys. But when you find those 5% of the guys, they're beautiful, they're the best guys in the world. In fact, he was right. He was at 95% guy. But then Pininfarina has a whole bunch of this beautiful, great engineers and the modelers and designers that I work with. So anyway, luckily by the next Wednesday noon, he came back, looked at the Montezemolo, and that time he turned off the engine on the helicopter. Yeah, it's a good sign. And he walked into the studio. And funny enough, actually, we're looking at the prototype. Not exactly the same as this one, but pretty much, to capture the same idea. And walked around the model about 3 times. And then, that was a beautiful time, because there was the president of Ferrari was Luca de Montezemolo. Then Gianni Agnelli, who was like king of Italy, was still alive. But he lost his leg. Skiing, actually. He was always walking like this, but gentleman. And he owns Ferrari. I mean, the Ferrari and the Fiat, half of Italy probably. Then Sergio Pininfarina was still alive. Then Piero Ferrari was there. He has the best eyes. He can choose the best design right away. When you look at the little sketches, he just going right to that. And it's a Piero that makes really Ferrari. Still is. Then the Cantarella, who was the president of Ferrari. All those, legends, half the people are dead actually, unfortunately. But I was just one of them, sitting behind. Then Luca started walking around the car about 3 times, and they asked all the people presenting, just like you folks, in the presentation room. We have 2 sides. One is this design. The other side is leftover from that 1 week ago, that design, but refined. And ask people opinions. And, the engineers and modelers and everybody, he started asking me, which one do you like? So, all the people said, he liked the other side. And there was nobody until he asked Sergio Pininfarina, Sergio, okay, now everybody in this room doesn't like this side. Sergio, which one do you like? Quale ti piace? Quale design? And Sergio Pininfarina said, well, the other side makes sense, but I think this side has a spirit, and if you want to build this car, we have to be this side. Against all the people. Then the Montezemolo said, yeah, I like this side too. So saying that basically there's no democracy in design, and he just asked opinions for people just for reference, but yeah, he decided. But actually before that, he asked me, in fact, Ken, which one do you like? Of course I like this side. Then he voted, so 3 against everybody in the room picked this design. I'm really glad. And it's something that happened, in fact, that was toward the 1999 when Ferrari won the constructor championship after so many years. But Michael Schumacher came in and helped us defining the design. He really did. But the thing is, Michael doesn't like to fly, so he always drove from Maranello to Torino. Normally, the multipla, which is a minivan, wearing, he's actually shorter than you imagine. He's shorter than I am. A small face, but big job. So he arrived at the front gate of Pininfarina in a multipla minivan, wearing the Michael Schumacher red cap and the Schumacher shirt. And can I come in English at that time? And I said, no, because I'm a Michael Schumacher. Yeah, everyone says that. So he couldn't get into the studio. Michael Schumacher driving all the way from the Maranello to Torino. He was just sitting outside of the Pininfarina studio. So he called Montezemolo. Can I come in? The security wouldn't let me in. Montezemolo got pissed off, and the Schumacher came in. And he saw the final design personally himself. But the 1999, they won the constructor championship. But it was hard. We didn't know until the last race. Remember that year? You do. So again, Luca de Montezemolo didn't want Formula One looking front nose if we didn't win the championship. So we had two noses. One is this one. Another one is more of a sports car nose. Didn't have the center nose part like Formula One. And we didn't really know until Schumacher really won the last race and won the championship. Wow, we went there just like that in the studio. That was a weekend, of course. So this nose became in production, luckily. But the other one was okay, but not as strong as this one. So a lot of things happened. I'm sure Camille knows, and Graham Lawson went through a lot of a drama like that. But yeah.
Yeah, one thing, Ken, I noticed when you guys listen to me start this thing, it's going to be explosive. I'm going to warn you about that. When I first went to look at this car at the dealer and I started it, and they warned me about that, there was a couple looking at it. And I'm not sure why Ferrari did that, but the couple actually ran right out of the dealership when they heard it. So I wanted to give you that warning because it is pretty explosive that it kind of settles down a little bit, and then after about a minute, yeah, he remembers. So let me do that now, and you guys tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.